Welcome, everybody, to today's webinar. I'll be your moderator and technical support. My name is Antonio Gomez. I work for the Illinois Center for Specialized Professional Support based out of ISU. You are free to ask questions throughout in this webinar. If it gets to be too many questions, we might put a pause on them and have them move to the chat or the Q&A function. If you need help with any technological support throughout, I'm happy to help you. Just go ahead and send me a message. This webinar will be offering closed captioning, so you can feel free to go ahead and turn that on if you would like. And it will also be recorded. So we will send you a recording of the webinar at the conclusion of the webinar. And that is all. So I will go ahead and turn this over to Dee to get us started, or whoever's going to get us started.
I'll get us started.
Ivy, turn it over to Ivy
Hi.
to get us started.
Thanks, Antonio. Hi, my name is Ivy Hood. I work with NIU's Workforce Policy Lab, who's doing a lot of the administrative type programmatic support for this project and technical assistance. So I'll go ahead and get started. I know we only have about 90 minutes, and I want to give Dee plenty of time to go over training and give you guys plenty of time to ask questions. Okay, so quickly, those of you who have...
We don't see your PowerPoint if you're sharing.
Thank you. Thank you. I always do that. I gotta get better. Okay, now you're seeing the PowerPoint? Yes?
It's loading. We're good. We're good. We're good. Looks great. Looks great.
Okay. For those of you who were at the prior iteration of this training, the first part of the technical assistance overview is going to be a little bit of a just reminder for you. And we're also going to talk about just briefly why it's important to report. And then I'm going to quickly hand it over to Dee so that we have plenty of time for that. Okay, as a reminder, we are here for technical assistance support. Anything programmatic related, myself, Nate Carlson, Jen Foyle, and Brogdon from DCEO. We are available to be supportive in whatever way we can. If you would like to speak to somebody one-on-one or about a specific issue, you can schedule an office hour with any of us, or you can attend the regularly scheduled office hours that Nate holds weekly. You can find those on apprenticeshipillinois.com. For more technical worknet related issues, I think myself and Dee are probably the best resources. Nate Carlson also has plenty of experience with worknet. So you can also find, I'll show this page in a later slide, but the resources for the technical TA and the weekly office hours that we host are through illinoisworknet.com/@illinoispartners. And again, I'll show that page later so you know what it looks like. And then for anything regarding budgetary spending, your DCO contacts, Chase Martin and Ace Brogdon are the best for that. Okay, as a reminder, not today, but in spaces like this, it's remind you guys to make sure you collaborate, get together with each other, exchange ideas. That's really how we make apprenticeship successful. So just a reminder to be collaborating with your fellow grantees. If you come across any resources that have been helpful for you, please forward those to Nick Carlson. He'll make sure that those get on the website and in such a way that everybody can have access to them. And just thank you for all that you do. We know that this is apprenticeship is difficult, but you guys are doing the work to make it better for Illinois. So I just want to thank you so much for being committed. Okay. As a reminder, we do need to report data as a part of our grant agreement. And in addition to not just that, but our state partners and our stakeholders, they also want to know the exciting things that you guys are doing. They want to be kept in the loop. Is my audio coming through okay?
You're very choppy.
It's a little bit glitchy.
Yeah, but we can understand what you're saying.
Okay. Okay. Good. So our maybe
somebody said they cannot understand what you're saying.
Antonio, is the closed captioning me?
The closed captioning is working really well. It might, maybe if you disable your camera, it might help free up some data. That's just a shot in the dark, but we can try it, see how it goes.
Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Give that a try. Okay. Um, back to why data integrity is important and why reporting is important. Not just to kind of understand what the activities that we're doing and sharing that amongst ourselves, but we also want to understand, thanks, Antonio. We also want to understand sort of the process of apprenticeship development and expansion as a whole. And we want to be able to take that information and, advise future cohorts with it. So that's another reason why putting data into WorkNet is really, really important. I highly recommend that you do it at least weekly, ideally every time you do an apprenticeship activity. That's when you should be logging onto WorkNet and adding in that information. But ideally, I recognize that sometimes the day gets away from us. So if you can get on at least weekly, I think that would be very good to help you keep things in track and not fall through the cracks. This is that IllinoisWorkNet.com FIL partners page that I was referring to earlier. On this page, there's a lot of really good technical assistance. There's more than just our list that you see here from the screenshot. But the one that's important for you guys here on this call today is this intermediary resource hub. It looks like this. When you click on that, it'll open up this page, this intermediary guide. This page is really important because it has step-by-step instructions with all the main activities that you need to conduct in WorkNet with explanation and screenshots to go along with the instructions. So definitely refer to these pages after you've had a chance to play around in WorkNet a little bit, and these should resolve any questions. If you still have questions with WorkNet and reporting, the next thing that you need to do, if you've reached out to me, if you've consulted the instruction guides, the next thing you need to do is do a help request because we can't fix things in WorkNet if we don't know what's going on. So once you get into your account, you'll have a little personal account signifier over here. And if you press that drop down, that's where you'll get the help request button. When you click that, it'll open up this larger page where you can see information about known issues. So you can kind of determine whether you need to actually submit a help ticket or if something's being worked on, or if you need to submit a help ticket, you'll use this button over here, or excuse me, this button over here. Okay, I know I spoke really quickly. I know that I went through a lot of stuff and it was kind of difficult to hear me. So if you have any questions for me, please reach out to me afterwards because I want to hand it over to Dee at this point to take us through the training. Dee, you are muted.
Hi, everybody. Am I sharing the wrong screen? Oh my goodness.
That looked right where you're gonna log in.
All right. I'll just do it again just in case. All right. Hi, my name is Dee Reinhardt. Y'all might know me from other projects that you've worked on. I manage several different projects across the Illinois WorkNet spectrum. Today, we're going to be talking about Apprenticeship Illinois. And when you have a username and have logged into Illinois WorkNet, you will see a brown ribbon across the top here that has my dashboard messages, all these cute little things here. Once you are a partner and you have been assigned to the apprenticeship group, then there will be a drop down here to see partner tools. You would click on the customer support center, and I am live right now, but I will be going to training in just a moment. You'll get to a page with all of the groups. If you only have 2 or 3 groups, then you'll see Apprenticeship Illinois right here. Otherwise, if you have multiple groups, you just have to start typing apprenticeship, and it's 2 P's, and it will bring up a number of groups, and then it will get you here. Now, what I want to do is I want to give you this link right here in the chat. because this is the direct link to the application. And if there is ever anything wrong with the main Illinois WorkNet page, you will almost always be able to access this application. See, it says apps at the front of it. So my suggestion to you is to copy that link out of the chat and then bookmark it on your browser. And may I also recommend that you use Chrome instead of Edge. My Firefox works pretty well. If you're using a Mac and using Safari, God bless you, but it will not work the way that we intend that it should work. So if you can use Chrome, that is the best browser to use. The other thing Ivy was showing you about submitting a help desk ticket, when you are logged in, I'm logged in as me, so I see a whole lot more icons across the top here, but everybody should see what looks like their name with a drop-down arrow, and it says help request right here. So when you are in trouble with something or something is not functioning the way that you think it's supposed to be functioning, submit a help request and we'll either direct you to instructions or we will triage it with you and see if it really is a problem. And thank you for reporting it if it is, because then we can resolve those things and make sure that it's functioning properly. We have a new process in place where when we develop something with our programmers, we have a testing period and we try to make sure now that things go to production working properly instead of just releasing to production and praying. So now we try to get it out there so that it's working. There are occasionally a very few things where we don't have test data to actually test the item, so we may have to release to production, but that will just be an occasional option. So when you are doing a help request, and we have instructions on how to do a help request, you'll come to the portal and it will, I'm going to get to the actual portal. But this is what it looks like when you land. We have moved the known issues over to the side so that you can see them more readily. But we have the items here, like what to include in a help request. And so that when you submit it, you're giving me as much information as I might need to try to triage the situation. Include a customer name as an example. Include the link that you were on and where you were trying to go. If you can include a screenshot, that is absolutely the best thing to do. And then we'll tell you over here if there is something with a workaround or if there is something happening that we can give you a date for when it's supposed to be resolved. All right, and then when you have your tickets, if you look at the portal here, and if you see a message icon, that means that I have responded to you, or if you tagged Jen or Ivy or Nate, then they may have responded to you. My request to you is that if you do submit a help request, please keep an eye on it, because I typically answer within an hour or two unless I'm really tied up in meetings, but it's almost always the same day. I will get back to you in some form or fashion. It might be 9 o'clock at night, but I will get back to you that day. And then sometimes I'm looking for more information. So if you can fill that out, that would be wonderful. Now, I also wanted to show you the partner page, and we had a couple of links in the chat, but I also suggest that you bookmark this link because there is all sorts of information available on here. There are instructions, there are tutorial videos, There are the recordings from these type of sessions that are available to you. And if you are looking for something, I may refer back to, hey, look at the recording from the November 5th session and see if there is something that you need to watch. So keep these two items bookmarked so that you can access them very easily. Now I'm going to switch over to our training module, our training site. This will be available for you. And what happens here is it's set up just like the system is, only it's got test people. And you can use this at any time. You will be issued a test username and a password so that you can access this tool and practice. Please, please, please don't put any test data in production. That just skews the data. So I'm going to copy this link and post it here in the chat for you if you want to bookmark that link as well. It does land on the group page, but again, if you just search for apprenticeship and go to Apprenticeship Illinois, you could actually bookmark this link. And that way you get straight to your customer account. Now, for you new partners, I will be creating new accounts and current accounts for the partners that I have in the list that I will receive from Jen and Ivy and Nate. So watch for that information to come out to you. We will include those links again, just so that you have them available to you. All right, let me check the chat real quick. All right, everything is handled there. All right, so today we're going to be talking about adding participants and working through the workflow for intermediary grantees. You will land on the customer link page. So we call this the customer list. And when you're looking at this, you will see all of your customers. Now, I happen to be logged in as an admin staff, so I see all of the customers that are in here. You, as a partner, should see all of the participants that you put into the system, and they should be assigned to your location. I have several different locations in here. Make sure that they are being assigned to your organization. So first and foremost, you can search for a name up here to see if you've already added a participant. So if I look for John Legend, no results found. If I look for John Lodge, oh, it's thinking, let's search. And I see John Lodge was added the other day, but he's not enrolled. So if you are trying to add a new participant, you might want to check first, especially if you have multiple people in the system working, because Sally may have added the participant that you are trying to add right now. But search first, unless you know for a fact that it's the first time that this person has been entered into the system. Jen.
Dee, could you either make this bigger or just kind of read the headers just for like old eyes like myself? Thank you.
Let me see if I can make it bigger here.
That's already bigger some. Thank you.
All right, we're good?
Yes.
All right. So on your customer list, we've looked for John Lodge. So we don't want to add him. We see that he's already in our list. So we're going to go to the point now where we're going to add a new participant. Let me back up a moment. When you're looking for a participant, you can look by name. You can look by Illinois WorkNet number. That's what the IWN stands for, is Illinois WorkNet. You can look by a grant type period. You can look by a grant name. You can look by your agency. If you want to look for only ABC location, I can click that and hit search. And then I will see just those ABC customers. So if you happen to have access to more than one agency, you may need to filter that way. All right. Now we can look over here to the very far right-hand side, and we're going to add customer. And I'm going to add some names. I'm going to make up some names out of the people that we have in our audience today. I'm going to add Antonio Brogdon. That is a clash in names. Then you need to add the 8-digit date of birth, or you can pick from the calendar selector. So if your person was born in 1970 and they were born in July, you can go to July 1970 and pick the date. We do need an email address, so you will be adding that in there. And I'm just putting in some test data here, and it is asking you to put it in a second time. Then it wants the social security number. The best way to do this is to enter the entire 9-digit social security number and then confirm it. If you do not have access to the full 9-digit because the participant declines to give that to you, we would like at least the last 4. And in the circumstances where they are refusing completely to give it to you, you can bypass the social security number. This system is very secure. We have never been breached, knock wood. And once you enter the whole number, we redact the first 5 digits and only retain the last 4. So if your participants are leery of giving you their full social security number, they do not need to be. So Jen, would you like to expand upon the social security number needs?
Yeah, thank you, Dee. Just to let you know, we can't refuse services because they don't provide a social security number. However, the Illinois Department of Commerce does require that if you've received these grants, you do ask for a social security number. And the reason is for longitudinal data, for us to see program improvement or to see if this had worked. And then we're looking 5 years down the road, and are they still in the same occupation? Are they still, have they continued on their career pathway and things of that nature? If they don't want to give you the full, then we ask that you get their last 4, because then we can do a better job with at least some better job of matching, the UI data that we get which is the unemployment data, is what wage data that we get to match with how they're doing, and look for longitudinal data. And then if they don't give you either the full or the 4, then you can go forward without one. But you are required to ask for one if you've received money from this grant. And Victor, I see that your hand is up.
Yeah, quick question. So just to clarify, when an employer has a registered apprenticeship program, we are required to request the information for each of the apprenticeships they have signed up into that program and enter that information here, correct?
Yes, if you're serving them under this grant, yes.
Understood. Thanks.
Yes, thank you.
Now, you do have a second opportunity to enter the social security number. Actually, you have a third opportunity to enter the social security number. So if you keep asking them, maybe they will relent and give you the full number. The next thing that you do need to select is the intermediary. So your organization will be listed in this list. Once I get everybody added, for test purposes, I am going to enter ABC location. One thing that I do want to tell you, in training, everything that you enter today will be deleted tonight. So you can keep practicing with that same person that you make up and keep just reusing it day after day after day. And then our grant type, we have, currently we have SAEF, and we have specialists, which are the business services specialists. And then we have statewide activity. So you will be associated with one of these options for your grant type. You would want to, if you are the program manager, you would want to make sure that all of your case managers know which grant type they need to select. So we're going to select statewide activity right now for this person. Then we need to enter the zip code. And now we're going to search for an existing customer. It comes back, it gives you a username, it gives you a temporary password. And this temporary password is the participant's last name and their 6-digit date of birth. And if you do not see a password, that means that there was an existing account and you may need to help that participant change their password if you're going to ask them to update things on their account. And we do have an option here to send the customer the link to the initial application. I don't recommend that. It's possible to do this. I recommend going straight to complete the initial application with the customer. If you have multiple people that you're trying to add right now, you can go through and add all of the customers, then find that person in the customer list and go back and complete the application. I'll show you where that all pops up here. So we're going to, for this training session, we're going to complete the initial application with the customer. So it comes to a landing page where there will be some reading that should be done. And this is just telling the person that we're gathering some information about them and storing it in the system. So if they can read this, or you can read it to them, or you can have a prepared piece of paper that they can read, and then they can agree. Is there one reporting system for both specialist and intermediary, or are there two distinct reporting systems to report into? We have one reporting spot, but you have a separate grant assignment for intermediary than you have for the specialists. But all of the items are reported into the system. So I'm going to check this box here, and we're going to start the new application. Now, the next piece is relatively new. Jen, would you like to explain this, or Ivy or Nate?
Is this the authorization to work in the US part?
A faith-based.
Oh, you know what? This is some new requirement. And actually I don't understand it completely, but it is a new requirement with US Department of Labor. That
think
just
Go ahead.
no, so it's that everybody that goes through the program must receive this information. And so you just have to give them this information and say that they have read it. That is a requirement of all of the grants.
So we do have a print version of this on the partner page that you can provide for them to read it. And then once they have marked it as read, you can print it for them to have in their records. And then you would save and go to next page. Can Enrique said that he's lost audio. Can everybody else hear me?
I can hear you. I'm going to ask him maybe
I can
to
hear you.
start
Okay.
over.
Yeah,
All right, thank you. So we're going to save and go to next page. Now here on this next page is where you start filling in some of the situations that may need to be planned around. And situations are things that may keep the person from moving forward in a job, or may be a challenge that they're facing to gain a job. But because we're dealing with apprenticeships, this is a little bit different situation, but you might still need to know if some of these things exist for your participants. You only have to mark one. You don't really have to mark any. You do not have to mark one in every section, but it does help if there are some of these that are a possibility for your participant to exhibit, then you might want to answer them. Some programs in Illinois require that there be at least one characteristic marked, or else they aren't eligible. Not for this program. So let's mark this as they're receiving SNAP benefits. We save and go to next page. What is their highest level of education? So in conversation with them, they can tell you, oh yeah, I've got my doctoral degree. Or I went to high school, but I didn't get my diploma. Or they're taking classes in college, or they've just finished 8th grade. Whatever the situation is, you can mark it here. So we're going to say high school senior received high school diploma. Save and go to next page. What is your current employment status? I've never worked. I'm employed, but I've received notice of termination. I'm unemployed and I have been actively looking for work, or I am unemployed and I have not been actively looking for work. Now, in some situations for these apprenticeships, these are considered upskilling jobs. So there may be the fact that they are employed and they're getting this apprenticeship training so that they can stay employed. So I'm going to mark this, I am employed. And then it's asking you to add some employment. So they work currently for this employer, and it's Mike's Machines. And their start date was in 2014, November 4th. I'm just trying to keep this simple here. And he is an assistant. And we are going to look up a SOC code. I do believe, Ivy, is this piece staying?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, all right. So we're going to look for assistant. And if you keep this search simple, you'll get back more results. So we're going to look for a mechanical assistant if we have one. And I don't really see one. I'm just going to pick one here. You would probably have put in a different piece right there for this. You do not have to enter the street addresses. We do want the city though. And the state. And if you have the zip, we need that. It's a required piece. What are they being paid an hour? This is good to enter this so that we know where they started and where they're going. And how many hours a week do they work? Does this job meet their needs? and then save. If you want to enter more employment, like more previous employments, you can, you don't need to. Is somebody tracking the chat for me?
We do have one question that came in asking if they aren't sure about the exact numbers, can best guesses be added in this part?
The exact numbers for what?
I'm guessing they're talking about the wage. Yep, wage.
There is on the paper application, I believe there is a spot for the wage. So they should, if the participant doesn't know what they started at wage wise, that's fine. A best guess is good. And as you see here, we entered the full social security number, but it has redacted the first few digits and only posted the last four. So as we're going through here, we can, oh, and I just realized we're going to have to remove the X's. And we're going to enter 212 South Prospect Avenue. I don't know if there's a Prospect Avenue in Chicago. And primary phone number, we want all the digits here. What type is it? What is their sex at birth? If you want to answer preferred gender, you can. We have date of birth. Did they have military service? Is their marital status? What's their ethnicity? We have a couple of new options in here if you're coming back to the system. Are you authorized to work in the US? We will be moving this question to the front because the participants must be authorized to work in the US. They either have to have a work visa or they have to be born in the United States. And then are they registered with Selective Service? And if they are, it's going to ask you for that number. Save and go to next page. Any questions about this first page here? Brent, you may have requested credentials, but we haven't assigned you to a group yet. So that's why you can't get in. We're going to save and go to next page. This is your third chance to adjust the Social Security number because you're being asked to review the information that you entered into the system. So here, if they're saying, okay, well, let's do the Social Security number, then you can edit this section, go back to that portion of the application, fill in the information. I just noticed that it is not holding the city and state information. Ivy, can you please make a note about this so that I can get that resolved?
Yes, ma'am.
And it's saved all of the rest of this. Save and return to preview. So once you have adjusted any of the information, you can submit the application. Once you submit the application, it will change that customer's status on the customer list. If I go back to the customer list and look for Antonio O. Brogman. Oh, wait. Brogden.
Ian.
That would make a difference. Search. Now I will see Antonio is here. He's not enrolled and eligibility has not been completed. So it will tell you right here in the customer list what the status is for those folks. When you are done submitting the application, it will automatically take you to the intake review tab on the customer profile. Let's take a look at the information that's in this page. We do have an overview tab. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But we call this the left menu. So if I ever say to you, did you look in the left menu to see if the information is there? This is what I'm talking about. So the left menu will give you the phone number, the address. You, as a partner, can update the address information. If all of a sudden you noticed that you spelled that participant's name wrong, you have to submit a help ticket. You, as a partner, will not see this update demographic information. My husband is a carpenter. He always says it's better to measure twice and cut once than to measure once and have to cut twice. So check the spelling when you're entering the information twice before you hit submit. It also gives you the last four, what the Illinois WorkNet ID is, the date of birth, when they did initial assessment, who they're assigned to, all the different items that are associated with this participant profile. We no longer require co-enrollment in IWDS, but this piece is still here. You can reset the customer password here. You can send them a message in Illinois WorkNet. Now, it might be easier just to send them an email than to send them a message in Illinois WorkNet, but you can. We have related instructions about Apprenticeship Illinois eligibility. We also have access to assessments, case notes, resumes using our third-party resume tool. Uploads, these are documents you might want to upload to that customer profile, and then the work sites to which they're assigned. We'll go over all of these items in a few moments. For the intake review, we have action items that are there, and they tell you whether or not you have completed them. So green means good, red means, uh-oh, we need to do something here. If you click on number 1, it tells you that the application was submitted on 11/18. If you need to look at it one more time, you can review it. It will take you back to that preview page, and you can still make changes. The next step that you would want to do is verify eligibility and then enroll the customer. We have a complete eligibility program here, which will take you to the eligibility guide. Here it gives you some basic information, and then you can start the eligibility determination. Now, if you want to print folders, pages, that was a good word right there. If you want to print organization sheets for a paper folder, you can do that here. It has some sections that you can include. But otherwise, you can just start the eligibility determination here. If during the process of reviewing the eligibility, you find that they didn't answer something or needed to change their answer, you can update the customer responses. It will take you back to the preview section. Here we have different documents that can be used to verify the activities that are associated with this piece of the eligibility. So to verify the address, what do they have? Do they have a driver's license, a current utility bill? Whatever these items are, I also suggest that if they have shown you one of these items, that you may want to take a copy of it and either upload it or save it in the customer's paper file. When Jennifer, when you when you go out and do field audits, What do you prefer for them to do?
Dee, that is a fantastic question. I have never done field audits and I'm not sure what they ask for, but you know what? We can get back with the info on that.
All right. All right, so I'm going to pick the driver's license. For the date of birth, it's asking for one of these documents, and you can use any of these. These are acceptable documentation. So I'm going to do birth certificate. For the Social Security, it wants you to confirm. If you enter the whole number and it is holding the whole number, then you would confirm with the whole number. Right now, it is only holding the last 4. And I'm going to see the Social Security card. We have compliant with selective service. It has some options here. And then, are you authorized to work in the US? This is a big one. You need to have an acceptable document for an I-9, right to work card, birth certificate, or some other one of these documents. And then we're going to save and go to next tab. The next items are relatively simple. If the participant checked any of those boxes during the situations part of the application, then they may have a box checked here. You'll see a faint gray check mark in here. If there is nothing checked, you do not have to do anything on this page. Save and go to next tab. Again, there was nothing checked. Save and go to next tab. Here it says myself or someone in my immediate family receives SNAP benefits. See how it's faintly checked gray? Then you would find whatever the documentation is that they have to show you that they are receiving SNAP. Nothing else is checked here. You can check this particular box. I may meet low income guidelines. And then if you do check this, it will ask you to verify some of these documents. So if you're looking to meet some low income guidelines for your grant responsibilities, you can do that here. Save and go to next tab. Again, there are no check marks here, so I'm going to save and go to next tab. Each item does, however, have a list of documents that are acceptable for that verification. And then it says, thank you for completing program eligibility for Antonio. So you can click here to determine eligibility. This person indicates that they may be eligible to co-enroll in WIOA Title I adult programming. You do not have to do that. You can make the suggestion to the participant if they would like to pursue that option. Then we click the View Eligibility. We need to print the eligibility to have that participant sign, or you want to click to digitally sign the eligibility and application. One or the other of these is required. And then when you're done with that, you return to intake review. Once you're back here, you would select your grant, and I'm going to select 25-11111. The enrollment date is going to be today. We do not allow back enrollment. And then you would mark, enroll this customer, eligibility is complete. If you were not able to verify some of the documentation, you can say not enrolled, not able to complete eligibility, or you can just not select the grant or the date and leave it static at not enrolled, eligibility not complete. And we're going to enroll this customer and save. Jen or Ivy, do you want to answer the question in the chat about the window?
That's a fantastic question, Ben. And we shall get back to you on that.
And then the last piece on this page is providing the customer with information on how to access their career plan. Many people in the past have overlooked this activity, and so now we are have them, show them how to get to their career plan, take them to their career plan on your computer screen, and or give them a link that they can access at a later point in time. And Jen is saying we do ask you to enroll them into the system prior to providing them with any services connected to the grant. And the reason for that is in some situations, if you expend money and the participant is not accepted, those costs could be disallowed. So we always want to make sure that you enroll participants first. Now we're going to go to the customer's career plan. And there are many activities associated with this particular grant. We have a lot of assessments that could be completed. So we're going to start here on the plan overview. It goes to the career plan. And here, once you have the plan assigned for that participant, you can send an electronic request for customer agreement. You can print their career plan and have them sign it, or you can mark this unable. But what you would want to do is create the initial plan first, and then as you make changes, you can also have them update along the way. So if there's a change in their plan, you can update that. We have assessments listed. We have the desired career path. Some of this information can be filled in. As they earn credentials or complete goals, these numbers will show up here on the right-hand side. And when the career plan is initiated, then it will show all of the steps. What we have done is to initially create one step where you would develop an individual employment plan with that participant. This is something that you may want to start today as you are going over that activity with the participant, over the various activities that they could do with the participant. And then when you're done creating their plan, you would close up this activity. We'll show you how to do that in just a moment. Under review assessment, we have a conversation starter, basically, where you can create a summary of what this participant wants to do or needs to do. And there are 5 areas that can be completed for this. So maybe they want to be a supervisor, and part of their apprenticeship is taking supervisory skills. So what are the leading skills that they need an assessment on? So you can fill this out and save it. We also have access to additional assessments available. They can do a skills and interest survey. This is done with CIS 360. When they access that tool, they are signed in with their user account, and then they can save the information for you to view at a later point in time. We have employment goals. This is taken out of their that first page. But if you want to edit this, you can select career options. What is the occupation from that career option? So if I do it was mechanics. So that would be transportation. And we want to be an automotive. Automotive mechanic, automobile mechanics. And then their second choice is maybe they want to gear up and become an aviation mechanic. What's their wage goal? And we're going to say $36 an hour. And we're going to update those goals. The education level comes straight out of their intake application. Their employment-related information comes straight out of their application. And then barriers to employment comes out of their application. Disability benefits estimator. If someone has a disability, there is a tool to use to see if there are any benefits available for them. Employment 101 this is a good tool for somebody who is new to the workforce or who is returning to the workforce. It is not a requirement for this program, but it does help people understand a little bit more about gaining and retaining a job. We have a self-evaluation that is based on 10 essential employability skills that were approved by the state, and they can gauge what that is for them. And when they take it, it's a bunch of check boxes and it just saves the information. I'm just going to kind of check some of them here. And it gives you an idea of what they think their skills are. When you preview it, it saves it in a nice, pretty colored chart. And then you can save the evaluation and it will save that to the customer record. So if I refresh this screen, it says that it will give me a score here of 25. We also have an observational evaluation that you can use in a classroom setting. We have worksite evaluations that is the exact same 10 essential employability skills that are on the self-evaluation, but these are written for the employer. So this is especially useful if your participants are going through a training program not coming from an employer to do their apprenticeship. Then we also have emergency contact information, and then any other considerations that you might want to take into account if the participant is in a training program not associated with an employer. And then more assessments that can be added. We can add TABE, KC Life Skills. There's I think 50 different assessments in here that can be used. None of these are required. They are available for you to provide exceptional service for your participants. Now we do have goals, and we start with one. If you want to, excuse me. If you want to add additional goals, you can. Perhaps somebody needs to have their car repaired. That might be a goal to help them get back and forth to their job. It is critical in some cases for them to have that transportation, but it might not be a training goal. Then we have steps and services. I refer to these as activities that are assigned to the participant. We start out with the one goal, and I'm going to show you how to update this right now. You click the pencil. I clicked it, didn't I? We'll click it again. Oh, it's spinning. You need to mark the status as started open. I have a lot of help requests about why isn't my item tracking, because the person didn't mark it as started open. So please, please, please make sure that you go over here to this right side and mark that box. Their starting date was today. Their plan completion date, I'm going to give it a week just so that we can get back and forth with that plan. How many hours a week? Oh, this is only going to be like 3 hours a week, maybe. You can put a note in here And then I suggest that you go over here to the service provider to make sure that your organization is checked. Then I suggest that you come down and click the update customer service. And we added IEP. Oh, my fingers are not on the right keys. And case notes for the career plan can be simple, but if you're writing a regular case note, you want to make sure that you're telling the story so that if somebody wins the lottery and leaves to go enjoy Tahiti, then somebody else can pick up in their place. Every participant will have a development of an IEP. That is the activity that starts the career plan for the participants. Thank you for asking that question. There is a question from Sarah. As I mentioned, I may have already answered your question, Sarah, but none of those assessments that we talked about are required. They're good if an organization does not already have some sort of an assessment. So if your agency already does, then you're golden. The other thing that can be tracked on an activity is services that you might provide, costs of services. Did you provide housing or legal aid or other? We have accommodations, stipends, books, all of these sorts of things can be added. This is not where you would track this to submit for reimbursement. This is only to help you keep track of expenses associated with that participant's activities. So I'm going to just pick food assistance. How did you pay it? When was the payment start date? How much was it? And we did $25. How many times? Is it a cost estimate? And was it paid by the grant or a leveraged resource or a referred provider? Now, we do track some subsidized days for some of our programs. So if this does count for a subsidy that you are providing for that participant, you can track it here. And then we're going to save that. Additionally, on this, you can track attendance. So if there is something associated with this program that you want to track the attendance for that activity, you click on the attendance, you click on the week. And I thought I did. Let me refresh this screen. I'm going to go back and click on attendance. I'm going to click on the activity. And today they were here with me from noon until 2. And you can put in attendance in advance. You cannot verify it if you put it in advance. So I'm going to just save this. Then a participant might earn a credential. If they do, you can add it here. And the name of the credential is, let's make one up. And we're going to make furry friends. Goodness gracious. And the credential source is a copy of the certificate. When did they get it? They got it today. They got a certificate. The institution was Friends of Furry Critters. And this is learning to be respectful. Doesn't make sense, but it doesn't have to. It won't be here tomorrow because I'm on training. All right, so we just showed you how to do each of the items here on our activities. If you want to go back to the overview of the career plan, you would click on career plan. Otherwise, if you want to go back to add additional activities, you can do it by clicking on that breadcrumb item. Now we want to add a wrap, right? Oh, wait, we want to add a pre-apprenticeship for this person.
Thanks.
So one of the parameters that we are counting on this grant is how many participants go from a pre-apprenticeship to a wrap. To do that, you need to add a pre-apprenticeship activity, and then you need to add a wrap activity. And wrap stands for Registered Apprenticeship Program. So I'm going to look in here, and I'm going to look for pre-apprenticeship. And then I'm going to click add. And if you noticed, I typed ahead and it popped up what I needed right away. I'm going to click add. And then I'm going to, just so that I have it there, I'm going to add the wrap. So I'm going to come in here and do wrap. And it's registered apprenticeship. I'm going to add that. When I add a wrap, it asks me, do I want to add any of these other items? And I don't recognize that these two new items, right? These are two new items. Are these for apprenticeship, Jen, Ivy?
No, those are not for us.
Yeah, not familiar.
I'm going to take a screenshot. Sorry for the interruption here, folks. Is Heather on? Heather Lawrence, are you on? I got the screenshot, Ivy. Can you make a help desk ticket so that I remove these two items that aren't supposed to be here?
Yes. Yep.
Thank you. See how simple it is to do the help tickets when you see something that's out of whack. All right, so now we're going to select, yes, I think they're going to do an OJT, which stands for on-the-job training, and they're going to do it in the private sector. And yes, they're going to do skill upgrading and retraining because I'm working at the company, but I need to get my skills upgraded and I'm going to do a little bit of retraining. So I'm going to check that one. What that does, it will add all three activities to my customer's profile that I can add at a later point in time. So I'm going to add selected services. And you'll see right here that they're all up above my purple box. These mean that they have not been added, and you can see the status is not set. So then what you would do is you would click the pencil and add the activity. We do not recommend post-dating activities. I suggest that you wait until the day that they actually start and then update. But the updating the activity is the same as what I showed you how to do on the development of an IEP. Are there any questions about the career plan? And I know some of you have never been in the system, so you don't know what to ask, which is quite all right. There are tutorials. We will post this recording. There are instructions. So we got your back. All right, I'm going to move on. And I'm going to talk about, we talked about assessments. I showed you basically what they are. Let's talk about case notes. Whenever you add a case note to an activity or a case note in general, it will save it to the system. And you can see here, my application has been submitted. I added an IEP, and then I can add another case note. You can filter these case notes by the top of each column. So as they get more numerous in the collection, then you can filter based on the type of case note that you wrote. We're going to add a case note and we're going to select a task. And this is general. And this is Antonio was added to the system. And then if I have a standard piece that I keep Notepad on my computer, and I have text that I use on a regular basis for different things. So if you have a general item that you want to keep on a regular basis, and you want to just copy all of this and then paste it into the case note, because it's the same basic setup for your initial customers, and maybe you just change one or two things. But that way you don't have to retype every single initial case note. Or if you have that case note because 15 people participated in the same workshop, you can copy and paste that information to each of those customers. We have three options. You can send it as an Illinois WorkNet message, you can send it as a message and an email, or you can save it as a case note without sending a message or an email. I want you to notice this piece right over here on the side, and I'll show you how to make that different. Add the case note. And this case note just showed up here with all of that information that I didn't have to retype. I'm going to talk about the uploads real quick. Same thing here. If you have a document that you want to share on this customer's profile for this customer, you can upload the file here. We have a number of options. So maybe it was an assessment. Maybe they filled out an application for a new job. You want to keep a copy of that on here. There's all sorts of things. These are all for different programs that we have available. Maybe they got their NCCER certification. Maybe they got an OSHA certification. Maybe you're uploading a stipend, a copy of a stipend, or timesheets that they did. You can pick any one of these items, choose a file. You want to make sure that it is something that can be read, probably a PDF, and it should not be, I'm trying to find something that it doesn't matter. It's going to go away anyway. And then make a note so that when you are looking at this, and then we're going to upload it. When you're looking at it, if you have entered that description, you don't have to open up every single document to see if it's the right document. If you do need to remove it, I believe you can. You can ask for a case note to be removed, but it's a soft delete. And then the last piece that I want to show you, remember when we were doing the case note and I told you to pay attention to that right-hand side? On the customer overview tab, we have the ability for you to add resource team members. So if I'm going to click in here, I'm going to see who all these people are, and I want to add Susie Snowflake, and I want to save that, and I want to add 3 programs. Where are you, 3? Where did 3 go? Anybody see her? There, 3 programs, save. Now, if I look, I click View Partners, I see my case managers from my project on here, and that means that they have access. Then, if I go to the case notes and I want to add a new case note, I see Susie and 3 programs over here. And if I send it as a message in an email, I can click Susie and 3 programs boxes and they will get an email about this case note. So I often, if I have a help desk ticket, I may send a case note and click boxes. So watch for these. You might want to whitelist Illinois WorkNet as somebody on your accepted, what do they call it? Accepted senders. Now the last piece, well, I guess I should go back to overview. Oh, and the other thing I have to tell you, see this right here? It said timeout notice, and I just caught it. What it does, if you have a tab open too long, you get 30 minutes plus a 5-minute warning. If you have that tab open too long, it times out and logs you out. That is so that if you happen to get up and walk away from your computer and you forgot to sign out, that somebody can't come up and click into your computer and get data, personal PII of your participants. So I'm going to close down a few of these tabs so that I don't time out on any more. And then I'm going to go back to this overview tab, and it gives you intake review. What have you completed? What's green? What's yellow? What's red? And you can keep track here. This is not performance, but it will help you determine whether or not you are getting where you need to be. And outcome status. So now let's talk about outcomes. And it timed me out and logged me out. All right, so I'm back and I'm on outcomes. One of the things that you need to do when you are trying to discharge one of your participants, all of these items have to be done or close to done for you to be able to discharge a participant. So services, you can see them here, you can edit them here, you can see what's going on. It will take you back to the career plan if you do select edit. All activities need to be closed, meaning this activity could not be in a started open status. It would need to be closed. And then you can discharge a participant. I believe that you may need to delete the activities that were never started. So just be very careful. If you're looking at it and you're seeing that it's not allowing you to discharge that participant, then we know that we have to delete not started activities. The next piece is goals. Do they have goals? You can click edit. It'll show on track. You can add a goal statement. Measurable skills gain. This is an activity that we are hoping that everybody has a number of them. When you add a measurable skills gain, this is the only place to add them. When you add a measurable skills gain, there are 5 different types. But depending upon what you select, you may be asked to upload something. You may be asked to add content to a text box, and you may be asked to add a date. Now, I'm assuming that many of you will be giving the training, or the wrap will be in stages. So a training milestone is probably the easiest measurable skill gain to provide to anyone. So you would upload a document, enter the date attained, and the comment. So we are going to select I'm going to just pick something, and the training milestone. Upload it, pick today's date, comment, earned milestone for XYZ. You're going to put in better information. Save. So now I have a milestone. measurable skills gain added. Then when they earn credentials, this person earned the credential on that activity. So that means that's a good piece. We have success stories that you can add. Quarterly, Jen, we ask for a success story from each partner.
That's correct.
Yes.
When you do your quarterly narrative reports, you also at least do one success story a quarter. Obviously, we take more.
Funders love success stories. And then if you have an exit, if you see I've got a measurable skills gain, I have an industry recognized credential, I just don't have all of my services complete. So if I go up here to my services and I complete this activity for today, and if I go back to outcomes and go back to exit, it wants me to delete those activities that never got started. So we're going to go back to services. I'm going to do X. 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 Then if I go back down to exit and refresh, I can now exit my participant. It's asking for the highest level in school. If they did not gain any more education, then it would just be what they had on their application. An exit reason, and then the exit date, and then you save the exit status. So that's how we get there. Now, the last thing that I want to show you, well, actually, I have two more things to show you. On the add activities for adding a wrap, inside of adding the wrap, and we'll go back to this, it's going to ask you for a couple of numbers. It wants you to add a goal, a planned start date. And I'm going to put tomorrow. It wants the SOC code of the program. So I'm going to put mechanic. And we're going to do this. What is the participant Rapids ID? So this is something that you'll need to know from the ID. And I'm going to make this up. What's their hourly wage at entry? And we were at 17. The type of program, is it time-based, can't say the word, competency-based, or a hybrid, which means hybrid is it's measuring both of time and competency. So I'm going to do a hybrid. They're doing 20 hours a week. This is the service provider is your agency, and we're going to update the customer service. This helps us track that information. So we need the SOC code and we need the wrap ID. If you don't have those, you can't add the activity. Oh, what didn't I do? Oh, plan completion date. I'm going to do 2026, and we're going to do November 30th. Now we're going to update. So it tells you when you messed up, which is really good. And then you get the green screen. The last piece that I want to show you is on the You can go back to the customer list. We have, darn, I've got two things to show you. We've got work plan and reports. And if you're looking at your work plan, I'm going to select my grantee. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to look at my program. We will start this information for you. We'll put in your grant number. We'll pick one person from your list, and then you'll need to update those people. If you need to add more people, please contact us. We'll need a project overview. We will need project plans. What activities are you adding? Fill in all of this information. We will have some numbers entered for you. Check them. And then on the end of the quarter, you will need to add a narrative update for your grant. You'll put a summary of your activities, summary of grant goals, status on strategic partnerships, status update on employer engagement activities, key issues and technical assistant needs, and a summary of accomplishments and reference success stories. You'll fill that all in. In the interim, as you're looking through things, we have two dashboards for apprenticeship. We have Apprenticeship Illinois dashboard, where it tracks through the system where a participant is in order. You can select by grantee and filter. This is just tracking their progress through the system. So we want to know, have you had a case note in the last 30 days? Do they have an active service greater than 110 days with nothing on it? So you can check each of these items. If you click the number, it takes you to that list of customers to which this item measures. And if you want to see what is going on with it, you click the info bubble and it tells you what this particular row is tracking. And then we have one additional dashboard called the Planned versus Actual Apprenticeship Illinois dashboard. It's split into intermediary activities and specialist activities. You will pay attention to the intermediary activities. This will track the numbers that are last quarter completed, the actual numbers, and what you have planned. We don't have anybody in these first two age categories, but because the person that I entered was from 1970, I have one person that's 55 plus. If I click on this number 1, it will take me to a customer list that will show me Antonio Brogdon. I believe this Blue Cruise is from a very old grant, so I may need to close that Blue Cruise out. But as you're looking down here, we have entered some numbers for you. We are updating some of the criteria for some of these items, and this may change in the next month or so. That is pretty much everything that I have available. We'll go over user management in an upcoming TA session. We have those on the first Wednesday of the month at 1:30 p.m. Nate, I understand, does open office hours. I have an open office hour every Wednesday from 10 to 11 a.m. The link is on the partner page. You're welcome to come to that and ask your questions. I will share with you what I can. We do not record that session. We do record the TA session. So if you have questions that pertain to a particular participant, then you would need to ask me to not record during the TA session for you to ask that question. I do not record my open office hours. So we're 1 minute over. I apologize, but let me know if you have any last minute questions. We will be sending out the training link and the training user account and password. And we will be getting you added into the system very shortly.
That was my question. When will they be added to the system? We've had a couple of questions come through.
Do I have all the people on the list?
I think you have most of them.
Yes, I just completed it this morning and sent it to you.
Perfect.
Woo!
All right, so I will get them added by, I'm hoping by the end of the day tomorrow. It might be the end of the day on Thursday.
Sooner the better. Thank you.
Yep. Oh, the one thing that you can check is under the provider information, the partially open folder. It will tell you on here under the grantee details. If we go to Apprenticeship Illinois, and I'm going to select my ABC location, this will give you grant information, and it will tell you what type of grant you have. So it will be either statewide activity or SAEF. So you can check here. And then if you want to upload documents here, these are more MOUs and documents related to the agency instead of to participants. Thanks for that question, Emily. Any other questions?
Okay, hearing none. I just want to make a last plug for Dee's office hours on Wednesday. Even if you don't have a specific question, just being on that call and kind of seeing how WorkNet works could be really useful. So just another plug for that. But otherwise, you guys know how to get a hold of us. And if you have any questions, and thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Dee.
Thanks.
Have a
Take care,
great rest of
everyone.
your day, folks.
Bye, everyone.